Come on, Morgan Rogers, don't don't get our hopes up. So again, dude, not me who's telling you it's going to happen. I don't write the stories. I don't claim to be a journalist. All I can do is report them for you. And yes, Morgan Rogers, he's been linked strongly. And even speaking with journalists around this situation, the admiration is there. I can never say to you wholeheartedly that we aren't going to sign a player because I don't make those decisions. But this Morgan Rogers stuff has been gathering pace over a few days, and I'll give you my best to go through it. Carl, how are you, man? Hey, Craig. We got you, bro. Rogers could be epic. Just make sure it's Morgan, though, Carl. You know, I said Brendan. I think I got away with it. I don't think anybody caught me out. I wanted to go to one of our main topics tonight, which is the Morgan Rogers stuff, because I know a lot of people are going to be clicking in for that one. So I was reading an article earlier on, and the article was talking about Empire of the Cop. And this is what they've said about Liverpool's interest in Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers. I think Villa only paid, what was it, 8 million rising to 15 million or something like that when they bought him from Middlesbrough. So this piece said, he's seen as a talent who's ready to prove himself on an even bigger stage, with Liverpool chiefs understood to have been captivated by his pace, his dribbling and ability to create chances for his teammates. Rogers' positional versatility has allowed him to operate in a wide variety of roles for Unai Emery this term. He's featured on both wings, though it's the position behind the striker in which he's proven the most effective. Now, this is the part that I found very interesting. As such, Rogers would be viewed by Liverpool as heavyweight competition for Dominic Szoboszlai in the attacking midfield number 10 role. And in the piece, they also mentioned a price tag had been quoted at about 70 million. Now, the only way I think this happens is if Harvey Elliott gets sold. And we've talked about Harvey Elliott potentially being sold at length on the channel. And it isn't a me decision or a you decision. It's ultimately an Arne Slot and Harvey Elliott decision. But I can see the appeal of that. Like, if Morgan Rogers came in to compete with Szoboszlai, I think that could only lead to good things for us, because they're both going to have to be on top of their form to keep the shirt and get the starting berth. So I know Villa fans watching this aren't going to want to hear any of that, and I understand it. But it's a name that I've seen in more and more stories over the last few days. And whether it's just a snowball effect of silly little rumours or whether it's significant or not, I guess only time will tell. Matt Denny said, I've no problem with competition for Dom, and we know Slot doesn't rate Elliott, unfortunately. So look, let's say it did happen for a second. Couldn't sit here and say anything other than that would be brilliant. You know, that would be another really good midfield option for us. And a player that can then play in either wing as well, let's not forget. So it would be an incredibly versatile option for Arne Slot to have at his disposal. So here's another reason that I don't want Xavi Simons at Liverpool. I seem to be adding a new reason to my list here every day. So firstly, there's the price tag, which is rumoured to be about 75 million euro. I think he's way overpriced. But secondly, the report that suggests his dream move is to Barca, although he doesn't think he's getting Barca this summer, that triggers another warning bell in my mind, because I don't want another player who's coming in and then we're going to have to be bombarded with story after story after story about this lad wanting a move to Barca or Barca wanting this guy. So that's reason number 2 for me that I don't want Xavi Simons. And reason number 3 is I'm still not convinced by the player. So for me, I would much rather we took that money and spent it on a Morgan Rogers. Or if you want to roll a dice, a Ray and Cherky, but if you want somebody for the big bucks, I would say Morgan Rogers, Fermin Lopez, players like that would make more sense. Fair play, Craig. Love the passion on the channel. Xavi Simons is a foreign Harvey. Makes no sense. Thank you for the first part. Thank you for the second part. And on the third part, I agree. It would be like we'd be spending more money to get a similar type of player and one that isn't homegrown either. So yeah, I agree with you, Elliot, and I think it's a good shout. Again, I hope I brought that up on screen. If I didn't, I'll leave it up there now for a minute. So yeah, for me, agree. I don't know enough about Cherky to say to you honestly if he's good enough or not. But, you know, Morgan Rogers, as potentially far-fetched as it sounds, would be incredible. Mukrab said, Craig, would you prefer personally to sell Elliot or Dom, excluding what Slot wants? Me personally. Elliot. I think Dom has a higher ceiling. And I think if you can get Dom to click, there's an 80 to £100 million player there. And I know at least where his best position is. So I wouldn't move on either if it was a Craig choice. But your question, I'd move on Elliot over Dominic Soboslai, but with a heavy heart. Morgan Rogers gets 2 thumbs up, said Rory. Look, it'd be a great bit of business. I still can't figure out how many players I expect to leave Liverpool in this window. I'm very much just looking forward to the window opening and us getting to see what's actually happening. Do a trade, Dom for Rogers, or is that controversial? Well, I would say it's controversial. Keep both. It's been a weird situation with the whole Dominic Soboslai Liverpool position this year, because he's a player the fans have definitely gone back and forth on, or aren't fully convinced on. I'm not one of those people. I really do think Dominic Soboslai is a cracking player, but I can understand people wanting a few more bits of end product from him. But I think if you were to bring in somebody like a Morgan Rogers, that's just going to increase competition, lifts everybody's level. One of the things that's annoyed me this season is that there are just certain positions in our team that there's no pressure on. So there's no pressure really on Mo. There's no pressure on Virgil. There's no one good enough through the centre. We do have pressure on the left-hand side, and I like that. We've got Gakpo and we've got Diaz. And then there are other areas like Ryan Gravenberch, who has no pressure on him, but also has nobody to rotate in and give him a breather. So they're the type of things that I think lead to complacency and maybe lead to people feeling like, not that they don't have to try, but there's no fear. Fear is a good motivator. But imagine a midfield options next season of Morgan Rogers, Dominic Soboslai, Curtis Jones, Alexis McAllister, Ryan Gravenberch, maybe Endo if he sticks about, Bajcetic coming back in. And of course, that theory would have seen Elliot sold. But I mean, I'm both excited and nervous for this transfer window, because deep down I feel like I'm going to be disappointed again, as I always feel with FSG. But there's been so much talk of a good window that, I'm open to seeing what happens. Is there any other players that you guys think could be a surprise sale this summer from Liverpool Football Club? So the Canade situation we've discussed, because it could come down to how many offers come in for him, and also if Liverpool can extend him. The goalkeeping situation's an interesting one. I mean, to hear David James suggesting that Caoimhín Kelleher should go to Manchester City, I nearly fell off my chair reading that one. I mean, go anywhere, Caoimhín, but avoid Manchester. Either of them would be my suggestion there. And I wouldn't mind where else he goes, but City would be, that would feel very weird if he went to Man City.